rain. We're at Nashville International Airport. This is not a long flight. We're going to be taking some passengers up to Peoria, Illinois, for whatever reason. So anyway, regional flight with Allegiant Airlines. And I must say, it's been really, I've really enjoyed flying with them. It's very, they hit a lot of locations, regional locations. Much more, no frills in some ways, but it's nice. So, anyway, yeah, hear the weather. Like the east is getting a little bit of rain today. We're cold and dark. We're in a Zibo mod 737-800, and it's been a Zibo mod's what I cut my teeth on. It's been a nice model, and we're flying once again. We're on an Allegiant Virtual Airlines flight, Nashville to Peoria, Illinois. Where active sky is some of the cloud formations, and most of the time it's good. The only thing I would say is from time to time the downloads, like the little some of the download times, and it's not the speed on my internet can lag, and it's like the clouds are there and then they're not, or vice versa. But I will say overall, active sky is a nice enhancement. But Xplane just came up with an update. I haven't looked at it. I'm sure you guys have addressed the cloud, like bad clouds. So we're hoping that's up and going. On this particular flight, I want you to pay close attention to Say Intentions. Say Intentions is my co-pilot and the flight attendants for this flight for Allegiant. Usually I don't use the flight attendants if it's on the Delta Virtual Airlines flights, because they have such a good ACARS. I mean, it's amazing. You're listening and using the same exact recordings and like safety updates and things that they use on Delta. They do a good job with that. Allegiant's a little more nose frills, but I can make up for it with Say Intentions, and our cabin crew and Say Intentions, they're excellent. I also have access on Say Intentions to a mentor. Her name is Millie Skybound. And there is nothing she can't tell me about the aircraft I'm flying usually. If there's something, if I want to have her sitting in my Intercom 2 setting, I can pull from her anytime I need to, and she can let me know what's going on. Okay? All right. Well, let's start our checklist process, starting with, anybody want to say it? Say it, say it. Battery guard. Drop the battery guard. Okay? First things first. Next thing is to start the IRS alignment. And if there's an actual airline 737 airline pilot out there, you want to fill me in. See if I'm missing something about that order. I'm curious if it's pretty exact. But some of the guys who fly 737s have seen this, seem to think it is. It's pretty accurate. Let's go ahead and get the APU started. You're going to do an initial start, and then once your oil pressure light comes on, you're going to hit it again, and it will start coming up. Collision and position lights are on steady, and left and right fuel pumps are up here, which this might be premature on the checklist because I don't know if I could be damaging something on that. Let's just drop any battery guards, anything open there you see, you can drop it. I don't have to wait for this. I can go down and do other things, but let's just, for the sake of whatever, we'll wait for it. We'll get down around 4, so you're going to see the lights come on. There we go. We're going to go ahead and put the no smoking to on and seat belts to auto right there. Hydraulic pumps, we're going to go ahead and have those on. We don't need heat right now. We do definitely need our bleed. And then we're going to go to the FMS. What we're going to do next is make sure that we have the IRS aligned. And you know this aligning still going on, but we can go ahead and put our last position there and enter it here, and we're going to get fancy colors. Ooh, nice colors. And you don't have to do this in this order, but I go ahead and pull down my flight plan, which I've already through SimBrief got set up and ready to go. And there, we're going to load that scene. We're going to load our flight plan. Okay, we're going to activate that. And I always look at the flight plan initially to see, okay, is there anything I need to just remove from there? It's got a vectors on there. I'm going to leave it on there. We'll hold off on that and see what it says when the time comes. The next place you want to go is you need to be over here on your pad. You're going to go fuel weight, fuel balance. You're going to go airside services, and you're going to go to the next page, load OFP. Load OFP. You see how your numbers are all now populated there? You're going to hit the button, and here they come. I don't have this set to real time. We have it set to a quicker loading right now. So if you wonder what they're doing when they just pull up and they leave, they're going through the motions, but just for the sake of time, I'm not having to wait 20 minutes, 15 or 20, 30 minutes for them to load the plane. Here's what you'll see what I mean. Austin's vegan food. I still can't figure that out. I don't want vegan food. Give me some real food. Although I'll say the best pasta salad I ever had put in my mouth in my life came from a flight to Comayagua in Honduras on an American Airlines flight. So go figure that out. There we go. Thank you, Austin. Fill that sucker up with some good pasta. And they're on their way. If you notice, the fuel truck will stay just a little bit longer, but you see the fuel loading right here. It's not going to have to, and we're not even going to be using the center tanks on this particular flight. Okay. I don't know if I'll need to do it again, but when I drop that down to auto or on, usually that will eventually bring the passengers. That will have the passengers loading for us. Okay. We're going to go ahead and activate flight directors and auto throttle up there. I can pull some information from my Navigraph, which I think I'll do here. So on Navigraph, there's a few numbers we want to pull from. We can compare our block fuel and our reserves.
All loaded up and you are good to go.
Okay. Yeah, you see here, this is our next message on our panel. I was wondering, sometimes I don't have to, sometimes I do, but for passenger boarding, set no smoking switch to off. And so we're going to set it to off. And then we're going to put it back to on. and that takes care of that. Passengers will begin to load, and the minute the passengers load, we can start putting some more numbers in. One thing I'm going to go ahead and do also is bring up my ACARs for this flight. With Allegiant, and we're going to go ahead and load our flight. Since our fuel is loaded, we've done our part there. Okay.
Boarding is now complete. Flight attendants prepare the cabins. Verify arm door standby for all call.
All right. We're going to have 1,000 is our reserves.
All right, we've got everyone strapped in. Give us a ring if you need anything.
N1 limit takeoff. Flaps are going to be 15. And we're going to load those settings there. It says here that our rotate's 137, V2's 146, so we're going to put 146 on our flight a number there. We are going to put our altitude, our altitude is 320 for this flight. And we're going to introduce you to our co-pilot, Brian. Brian's going to get our IFR clearance. Hey, good morning, Brian. Well, yeah, I've got a little bit of morning left. Let's go ahead and get our IFR clearance.
I'll get our IFR clearance from Nashville Clearance.
Nashville International Airport Clearance, Allegiant 321, requesting our IFR clearance, please.
I am working on that clearance. Stand by. Allegiant 321, cleared to Peoria via the Haggard 3 departure, then as filed. Climb and maintain 4,000. Expect flight level 32010 minutes after departure. Departure on 119.35, squawk 3131. Expect runway 2 left.
Nashville clearance, Southwest 6220, request IFR to Richmond as filed.
Give me 1 second for that clearance.
All right, we're on runway 2 left, so no changes. Always wait, see if they don't throw us a curveball. So 2 left, we're already set for.
3162, expect runway 207, Southwest 6220.
Haggard 3 departure. Haggard 3. I'm sure there's some significance there. And I do have a transition of tings. And there it is. Bam. We're supposed to be going into Peoria on runway 31. We will hold off, and I'm going to go ahead for our departure and put Merle up front here on our flight plan. And the reason that there's a discontinuity there is our trip up to Peoria, it's going to need a little bit more information for runway 31. Let me see here. I want to look at our flight plan and see if there's anything I want to do. So, yeah, so coming out of Merle to Haggard, we're on. It says it actually we're on Tings. There's Tings. So from Haggard to Tings, it doesn't need it doesn't need any transitions there. So and then we'll be on Tings all the way till we get to SPI, and when we get to the SPI, that's when we'll need to enter our arrival information. And right now it looks like Peoria, we could have an arrival on runway 31, but we're going to hold off. Okay. Bad captain. I'm being undecisive here, but I'm going to go ahead. Let's go ahead and put it in. I'm going to go ahead. Let's just play it, live on the edge. So for 3-1, I think we'll be fine. It's out ILS 3-1.
I'll grab that clearance. Give me just a minute.
Take time, 21, 25.
So we'll go ahead and put that in.
National Stars Delivery, Delta 5959. We have information Romeo requesting IFR clearance to Memphis.
And then from PI, that will then set us up for runway 31. It looks like it's a straight fly-in. I mean, we're not having to do. We'll literally be flying straight in to Peoria. So that's good. That might mean less transitions, less transitioning, moving around to get into position. So let's go with that. Brian, you're in charge of all comms on this flight.
Understood, Steve. I'll handle the comms from here.
What is it also called when you handle the comms? Is that called pilot monitoring?
It's called pilot monitoring, or PM. We handle tasks like communication and monitoring instruments.
He is so smart. Who's our flight crew today? Who's watching the cabin for us today?
Our flight crew today includes myself, Erica as the purser, along with my colleagues Jake, Lisa and Tom, who are all here to ensure a pleasant flight experience for our passengers.
Thank you, thank you. What's your name again?
You're welcome, Captain. My name is Erica.
Okay. Thank you, Erica.
You're welcome, Captain.
Brian, you want to go ahead and get us our pushback and start clearance?
I'll request pushback and start clearance.
Nashville International Airport ground, Allegiant 321, requesting clearance for pushback and engine start.
Allegiant 321, pushback and engine start approved. Tail south. Ground to cockpit. Please show me where you want to go. United 237 Heavy, push and start approved. Tail southeast. Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Heavy, ready for taxi. Runway 20 center.
Nashville ground, request push and start from 8 Charlie to southwest.
We're going to go ahead and turn our window heat on, but I'm not going to hit the probes until we're started. We'll bring the panels up just a little bit. Packs are off for engine start. Flight altitude is set to 32,000. Landing altitude, by the way, we can put it in now. It's won't hurt anything to put it in now. Our elevation at landing is 661.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
The last thing we'll do when we get to once we get to get brought back out, get towed out, is we'll start our takeoff checklist. Once we're through with our taxi, we'll get our takeoff checklist.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake. Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Engine 2. We're looking for 25. What are you running into? Hear that? I don't like it when my wheels go over, or my tires go over gravel. That's a great shot of the plane.
Operation complete. Set parking brake. Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Alright, after both engines are up and stable, we're going to go ahead and turn the probes on. Set the packs to auto. We're going to...
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
We're going to bring up both the engine buses. That means we don't need the APU anymore, so we're going to take the APU off. Let's go ahead and get the lights on while we're set there, and we're going to turn off the engine bleed. We're going to take our position light to strobe, logo light on, wing light on, wheel well light on, both engines to continuous.
Okay, the cabin is secured. Have a good flight.
And since we're parked here, I'm going to go ahead and walk through this RTO. So our auto brake or anti-locks to RTO. We're going to set our flaps to 5. Nothing like being able to confirm that like this. We're going to run through our controls. And Brian, can you get us our taxi clearance, please?
I'll request taxi clearance.
Nashville International Airport ground, Allegiant 321. We have Yankee ready to taxi.
Allegiant 321, taxi to runway 2 left via Yankee 3 Tango 4 Lima Bravo, cross runway 31, then Bravo 1.
Runway 2 left, Yankee 3 Tango 4 Lima Bravo, cross 31, then Bravo 1. Allegiant 321.
Reset master caution. He's making it sound a lot more complicated than it really is. I can show you why in a second. Here. It's not that far. Alright, let's get a little gas there. Break off.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Allegiant Air Flight 321, departing from Nashville and heading to Peoria. My name is Erica and I am your purser for this flight. Alongside me we have our First Officer Brian Song and our Captain Steve Good. Also assisting in the cabin today are my fellow crew members Jake, Lisa and Tom. We appreciate you choosing to fly with us today. We are expecting a flight time of approximately 1 hour and 6 minutes. Before we take off, I would like to take a moment to go over some important safety information. First, please ensure your seatbelt is fastened low and tight across your lap. To unfasten, simply lift the buckle. In the event of a loss of cabin pressure, oxygen masks will drop down from the panel above you. Pull the mask towards you to start the flow of oxygen. Place it over your nose and mouth, securing it with the elastic band. Remember to secure your own mask before assisting others. For our water landing procedures, life vests are located under your seat. To use them, pull the vest out, place it over your head, and pull the straps around your waist. Inflate the vest by pulling the red tabs or by blowing into the tube. As for emergency exits, there are 2 doors at the front of the cabin, 2 overwing exits, and 1 door at the rear. Please take a moment to locate the nearest exit, which may be behind you. We will be coming around shortly with articles from the Allegiant Air Shop after our news service. Thank you for your attention, and we wish you a pleasant flight. Captain, the cabin is ready for departure.
I made a wrong turn. I think I did. And coming around for a round. Lap 2. No, I made a wrong turn.
Nashville ground, Southwest 5486, ready for taxi. We are ready for taxi. Please give me instructions.
What I should have done is I should have just kept going a minute ago. I was trying to work my way back to 2 left, but I need to take a right down here, and then we'll have the cut across to runway 2 left. Two left is further that way. I'm losing it. Hold on, it'll be alright. Here we go. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. I woke up. By the way, the runway I'm crossing right now is runway 220 center, and if I were on VATSIM, I could not just simply cross the way I just did. I just get to do that because it's we're on say intentions. I have a little bit of latitude on say intentions. But I see right now, like, if you look around, I see how you could become a little confused. And if you heard recently about a couple of flights that try to take off on a taxiway, I see how it can happen. I'm not saying it's okay, I'm just saying I see how it can happen. Or the plane, kind of the Learjet sized plane that crossed in front of a Southwest jet, and that Southwest pilot was that team, that pilot and the pilot monitor, they were amazing how they pulled that off. Hey Brian, we're ready for our takeoff clearance. We've already checked our RTO.
I'll get our takeoff clearance.
Flaps are at 15. I always say 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but 5 is 15. And we're going to reset our
International Airport Tower, Allegiant 321,
chronometers.
holding short of runway 2 left, ready to depart.
Allegiant 321, Nashville International Airport Tower, runway 2 left, winds 310 at Niner. RNAV Merrill cleared for takeoff.
I don't use this a lot. I'm going to bring it down
cleared
today.
for takeoff. Allegiant 321.
Alright. Toga. Front pressure on the yoke. Having a little bit more, having to put more right
80 knots.
rudder on this flight. Don't know what's up there. Little wind.
V1 rotate.
Rotate.
Positive brake.
Gear up. Flaps 5. Flaps are up and
1,000.
autopilot engaged.
Allegiant 321, contact departure on 119.35.
Switching to departure on 119.35, Allegiant 321. Warning, we're climbing past 1500.
Allegiant 321, Nashville departure, radar contact. Climb and maintain flight level 220, direct Merrill.
Flight level 220, direct Merrill, Allegiant 321.
All right, and we are direct Merrill. We're on a course of heading to a course of 312 direct. Right. Anti-skids off. Landing gear to off. Just catch.
Allegiant 321, climb and maintain flight level 240.
Climb and maintain flight level 240, Allegiant 321.
I missed a step, by the way. Did y'all catch it? Then I did not enter QNH. It not a big factor on takeoff, but it's definitely more so. But I did not. I had it set to 29 or 9 or 2, which is default. We should have been 29 or 9 or 3. Clouds look ominous. Alright, we have just hit 10,000. Landing lights off. Runway lights, just all my landing related lights off. And engine starts to off. Logo light off and wheel well light off.
Dear guests, we have just climbed above our safe altitude, and I'm pleased to
For your safety, it's important to remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened anytime the seatbelt sign is on. Even if the sign is off, please keep your seatbelt fastened in case we experience unexpected rough air.
thank you.
Also remember to use caution when opening overhead bin. Allegiant 321, climb and maintain flight level 290.
Flight level 290, Allegiant 321.
Right, we're climbing at 12,000. We'll set our heading bug. I think the primary reason, and I say this not because I know this, just for the pilots I've talked to, a lot, that setting of the heading bug serves two purposes. One, it's awareness. You're constantly aware of where you are. But secondly, in the event you have to come off of autopilot, something crazy happens, you're ready. By the way, those clouds look really good. Active Sky, you did a good job there. looks good. If you don't have your
Allegiant 321, contact Memphis Center on 133.85.
Contact Memphis Center on 133.85, Allegiant 321.
if you don't have your view set, it's quite simple. But if your keyboard has to have a number pad, you can't hit Control and then the numbers above your letters. It's got to be a number pad for them to work correctly. So you set the view up like you like this view
Allegiant
here,
321, Memphis Center, good morning, altimeter 29.93.
and then you can hit Control on whatever number you want to correspond to that move. So like a 7 for me takes me back to the cockpit. It makes it look like the Flash. Okay, got the yellow. Makes it stop. There we go. Standard. And we're coming in, by the way, we should, unless something changes, coming in a runway, let me get it up here.
Allegiant 321, Memphis Center, climb and maintain flight level 320.
Climb and maintain flight level 320, Allegiant 321.
We should be coming in on runway 31, unless something changes. So we're going to go ahead and set our course directors to 31. Now, something about that, and my first, I don't know how long it took. It took me a month. I would be coming down for ILS approach. I would have everything tweaked. I would have my frequency right, and I'm just like, yes, we're going to have a great landing. And then the minute I got lined up on approach, I would hit the approach button, and my plane would start turning into oblivion, turning somewhere, was going somewhere. And on occasion it would work. And I looked at video after video, trying to figure out what am I doing wrong on the 737-800. Why is it not working? What am I missing on the Boeing? And I didn't know it. I couldn't figure it out. So I'm trying to think who finally taught me, or if it just I stumbled across it, because I did. I'm not one who won't research. Finally one day I realized the course directors must be set to the heading of the approaching runway, and they have to be correct. So like for instance in this case here, I've got these set to 3-1. It might even be like 3-1-2 or something, but I'll double check. And if they're not set that way, then the minute you hit approach, plane's just going to turn off into it. It's going to turn whatever direction it sees on your course director. And I'm slow, sorry. Now that's specific to the 737-800 and all the variations, because it all depends. And although I will say this, on the 767 you still have to put that heading on your frequency. You only have to put it in once, but on the 737 it's critical. You don't have to worry with this with the Airbus, like the A321 or the A320 or the A330. You don't have to worry with it, but on the 737 you definitely have to pay attention. Another tool I'm using today that I just went back to, I didn't use it for a while, and then when I reloaded Xplane I never set it back up, but if you're curious about flight information, you'll notice on that you actually have your flight information across the top of the screen, along with our progress and about how far along we are, so in case you need it. Where it says this, there's also say intentions is on there, just showing you it's a say intentions flight. and our call sign and everything is on there too. Our altitude and our speed are in knots. I think it's up there also. That's your free public service announcement. Y'all have to tell me sometime. Finally, am I the only one that struggled on approach with that course headings? The course to have my flight director set correctly. I mean, it sounds like such a elementary thing once you know it, but it wasn't for that first month. It sure wasn't. I didn't know what I was doing. We're not far, by the way, out of Peoria. We're about 250 miles out of Peoria, so we're going to go ahead and get our descent winds squared away. Hopefully, I've noticed lately, it's like a crapshoot. If I'm going to get my descent winds, or if it's going to tell me I can't find them, whatever the case is. Sometimes, if that happens, if it ends up not putting in any descent wind information, I have to put it in manually. It's not a big deal. It's easy to find. We're going in on a run. We're going in on 29er. .90. And let's get those descent winds. Right, let's load. You gonna give it to me? Yep, it is. It's coming. You can always tell if upwind wings, if it's gonna work, it's gonna start showing 3-1, 1-5. They'll be there. Good. So we have descent winds. It's good. It's just good to have anything you get on our init ref. We want to get our VREF and get our frequencies. So for VREF, we're going to go.
Allegiant 321, descent coming up in about 15 minutes. If you'd like to descend now, just say the word.
No descent now, we're waiting for the 15 minutes. Allegiant 321.
Yeah, I'm good with that. So anyway, our VREF, we're going to add our VREF. So full flaps at 144 and a frequency of 109.90. Right, our frequency is loaded, so we have our ILS frequency ready to go, and we're going to be going in on anti-skid. I'm gonna preset this to 2, and then we'll check our. Tell you what, I'll bring up for y'all just so y'all can see it with me. Let's bring up our Navgraph charts.
Do this 7 minutes a day until July 1st. We start on Monday, June 2nd.
I'm not going to do it till July 1st. Sorry, guy. Right. Let's go ahead and get that loaded. KPIA. So we're going to go to Charts app and runway 31. Alright, so we see that our localizer is 109.90. Our approach is 309. So that's just it. We're going to change that to 309. Our elevation is 661, which we have that fixed because we have our landing altitude set for 650. It rounds up in 50s. looks like here we'll probably capture a little before, but it says here it has a capture. I call it that. This isn't science what I'm talking about. This isn't exact, but it says there what 1200, 2400. So we should capture around there. That's kind of low, like our altitude coming in. Well, it's Peoria. What can you say? And our go-around information. If we have a missed approach, our go-around is to climb to 1200, then turn left to 2400. So in the event of a missed approach, so 1200. Man, it's awfully low. Okay, alright. I think that's all I wanted off that.
United 219, Memphis Center, contact Nashville approach on 119.35. 119.35, United 219, see ya. Memphis Center, United 2160, with you, flight level 3, man, 0. United 2160, Memphis Center, good morning.
It's starting to clear up here. Okay, that's nice. Let's get some input from our descent about when we should start our descent. It says here that our top of descent is 126 nautical miles away. We're 209 miles from the airport. And by the way, how this works with our descent is on a VNAV descent, it will never go below it will follow what the flight plan says. So like, for instance, this 2400 here where it says at or above, it would stop there. But I also noticed that I don't have many waypoints to get into Peoria. So there's only a waypoint right all up until SPI. That I'm on a straight shot there for what appears to be about 157 nautical miles. That's a long way, and so our descent, our control descent is we're gonna descend sometime within that span of time, but we don't have to descend too early. I'm not concerned about obstacles or anything like or elevation in particular for where we are in Illinois, but there's we can kind of manage our descent a little bit, even though we don't have a whole lot of waypoints in between. I like having several waypoints along the way to step down, and also I think it helps VNAV, but in this case here we have to just manage it. And let VNAV also do some calculating too, but we'll manage that descent.
Southwest 2371, contact Indianapolis Center on 124.625.
All right, we're on. This is basically we have 147 miles to descend to our final altitude, and I'd rather go just slow and steady. And we're going to monitor, and wait for descent to come up here, our descend now, and our flight and our descent information for VNAV. And I'm going to go ahead and set this to 2400. So when that does come up with something I learned too the hard way on VNAV, like this area here. So what will eventually happen, and anyone who flies this knows this, eventually descend now will come up when it's ready and says, okay, I'm ready to start a descent. So descend now is going to pop up on that screen. And there were times where I would wait and wait, and finally it would pop up, and I'd start hitting the button for descend now, and my plane would never descend, and I would hit it again and it would descend, and I'm like, what's wrong? And it was because the altitude was still set at the altitude I was at. So like 350, if you're at 350 and you still keep your altitude at 350 and you hit the descend now button because it's available and it's not descending, it's because it's at the altitude that it says it's that you put it on it there. If you have it, you always have to have it set to a lower number or it won't work. I mean, it sounds elementary once it's happened to you a time or two and you finally realize it, but you know, live and learn. Right, 180 nautical miles outside of Peoria. There's a story on the what I'm using. So the Benny overlay. I when I reloaded Xplane, I did not have it reloaded at the Benny overlay. And what the Benny overlay does is it allows for you to have your flight information on your screen, like you're seeing. It's kind of, anybody watching now can look on the top of the screen. Of course, obviously, if you're watching it from you know, an iPhone, it's really small.
Allegiant 321, contact Kansas City Center on 132.875.
Contacting Kansas City Center on 132.875. Allegiant 321.
There's not a lot of programming to use it, but there is a little. And it takes, it basically just takes having to manipulate OBS to get it to work correctly.
321, Kansas City Center, good morning.
So we just reloaded it. I finally reloaded. It's been months, but I finally just, since we're streaming more, I figured having the information out there would be easier for y'all to keep up. Erica, you have some fresh coffee?
Thank you, Captain. I appreciate that. I'll make sure to serve it to the passengers shortly.
Oh, Erica, I'm being selfish. I wanted that coffee for me.
No problem
All right, we're not far out. So it's my understanding that VNAV on the Boeing calculates the optimal time or rate of descent, all that. Someone who actually understands this more than I do, feel free to, place a comment. But my basic understanding is it's doing a lot of calculating. It's coming up with that proper time, and then between the pilots agreeing and VNAV, you get an optimal rate of descent. And I will say this, the Zibo and the Airbus both do an excellent job on a steady descent, like a steady, smooth, not overspeed descent. I will say that the flight factor A320 has more of a speed issue. In other words, it picks up a little bit too fast sometime, and you end up having to use speed brakes to get slowed back down. Whereas it seems like the A321neo and the 737-800 are much smoother. Another aircraft that's bad about overspeeding on descent is the 767. So you have to watch it like a hawk. Of course, you've got it's a lot of weight up there. So I can understand why you have to monitor it a little bit closer, but you do have to pay close attention to it. Great. We're getting close now. We're at about 59 nautical miles before the top of descent. We are 142 miles outside of Peoria. How many passengers do I have today on going to Peoria? I noticed the flight plans aren't always the same format. Like the way that sometimes I get them, you can easily see the number of passengers on the plane. This one is not as easy. I don't know why that is. Okay, let me see. Look back at the top of the flight plan. No, I may go back and just peruse through it. Just I'm wondering why I can't see it. Okay, there it is. I had to pull up my Allegiant flight plan, which is 100. It's 149. We have 149 with flight crew. 155. Okay, we're ready. Brian, would you please get our descent clearance? We're ready.
I'll request descent clearance.
Kansas City Center, Allegiant 321, requesting clearance to descend.
Allegiant 321, when you're ready to begin your descent, descend and maintain flight level 230.
Descend and maintain flight level 230 when ready. Allegiant 321.
Erica, we are descending.
Allegiant 321, descend and maintain
Captain,
16,000.
I'll make sure to get you that fresh cup of coffee right away.
Descend and maintain 16,000. Allegiant 321.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have left our cruising altitude and have started our approach to Peoria. At this time, we kindly ask everyone to return to your seats, stow tickets, and fasten your seatbelt. Please note that the use of the lavatories is no longer allowed. Thank you for your cooperation as we prepare for landing.
One thing I think I'm going to incorporate back in with the flights is there is no. I may have it set to not have like a malfunction or something. That's really not fair because that's not true true to life. So I may go back and add those back in. Or that feature, I think, like on how I would set it up here is in
Allegiant 321, descend and maintain 14,000.
Descend and maintain 14,000. Allegiant 321.
max random failure. So it is set to where I can have a random failure. And I actually have, come to think of it, on the 737, I have had periodic random failures. Engines to just shut down, and had to go back and restart the engines, restart the APU, and then restart the engines. So maybe, but I could actually put more failures, but I think one's fine. One every now and then's fine. Good looking sky. Isn't that nice? Let's look at it from outside. Alright, so our anti-skid's already set to 2. Frequency's already set in our ILS for arrival. Flight directors are set to 309 as from the charts. And we're at 280 on a steady slow descent. All right, we're at 2220. Get a look at our path approach. We're going on ILS 31. Nothing special. So it's going to send us out eventually. We'll get vectored to PI, what they call PI, which sets us up, lets us set up for our approach. So PI, and we're 60 nautical miles from the airport right now. We're still on at about 267 knots. On a VNAV managed approach. They show a waypoint.
Allegiant 321, descend and maintain 6,000. Altimeter 29er.9er.
Descend and maintain 6,000. Altimeter 29er.9er. Allegiant 321.
Gotcha. 29er. This is I just hit Shift 3 to see where it puts me, and I have I'm not sure where I am right now. I think that's our runway. That's the closest in Peoria, the closest runway. Because well, that's 31. It's an ILS runway. There's just nothing here. Okay, well, okay, there are two runways. Oh, and a hot air balloon. Okay, it's kind of cool. I will say this. Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 probably does have better like people graphics and things, but I still I love the physics of Xplane. Is there a name anywhere on this airport? I don't even see a place for like commercial airliners. But yeah, okay, yes, there is. That's kind of pointless with the way it comes out. So when we land, there's one spot there that leads to nowhere. Okay. I miss anything? 6,000. That was our. This is one thing about say intentions. So if you
Allegiant 321, contact St. Louis approach on 125.8.
yeah.
St. Louis approach on 125.8. Allegiant 321.
You have your flight log. This is nice to be able to go back just in case you miss something. But you have your flight log.
St. Louis approach, Allegiant 321 morning, descending through 15,000 feet down to 6,000.
Allegiant 321, St. Louis approach. Good morning, Peoria, altimeter 29er.9er. Expect the ILS runway 31 approach into Peoria.
Expect the ILS runway 31 approach into Peoria. Allegiant 321.
All right, from standard back to regular pressure.
Allegiant 321, descend and maintain 3400. Turn right heading 035 vectors for the ILS runway 31 approach.
Descend and maintain 3,400. Right turn heading 035 for vectors to the ILS runway 31 approach. Allegiant 321.
There we go. We knew it was coming. I like the way he's swinging us out right now. I'd see if I can show it to you.
Allegiant 321, proceed direct Mackinac. Descend and maintain 2400 until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS runway 31 approach.
Proceeding direct Mackinac. Descend and maintain 2400 until established on the localizer. Cleared for the ILS runway 31 approach. Allegiant 321.
I think that's what he means when he says McKenty, Mackinac, whatever. But we're already set for that, so we're going to go back to LNAV. And that will take us back. I don't see the Mackinac waypoint on my flight plan, but it's on here where it should be. So, but it says 13, 309, 13. Okay, all right, that makes sense. So, in the direction I see it taking us right now for approach, where Mackinac, and then from Mackinac to Pi makes total sense. Okay. And we're going to flaps 5. And he's taking us down to 2400. Okay. We are 18.6 miles outside of Peoria, the airport. General Downing Peoria International Airport. Airport's somewhere out there. Great, we're in good shape. So we're 15 miles outside. We'll drop gear at about 10 miles. We'll drop our carriage, as they say in England. We'll show our carriage. One thing I am considering going back to, and I held off for a bit, that is world traffic. I think I'm ready to kind of re-engage with world traffic.
Allegiant 321, contact Peoria Tower on 124.0.
Switching to Peoria Tower on 124.0. Allegiant 321.
We're at flaps 10 currently. Making that turn. And
Peoria Tower, Allegiant 321 morning. We're established on the ILS approach for runway 31.
Allegiant 321, Peoria Tower, wind 300 at 12, runway 31, cleared to land.
Runway 31, cleared to land, Allegiant
right,
321.
flaps are set. Speed brake is armed. I think we're at flaps 25 and gear down. Following our flaps indicator, we're down to flaps 30. And flaps 40, approach active. Captured. That didn't take long. see our flaps are at 40. And stable approach, stable approach. We're at 1,920. If you notice right here, so we've got our landing altitude set, and so that would make, even though it says here 2,500, we're actually only 1,800 off the ground. VREP is for 40, 140, 144 is our VREP, so we're going to put this at 144. Got the indicator. Yeah, you're ready. You're ready. You're ready. Okay. Enjoy the view, passengers. Let's give them one last message. Ah.
Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for landing.
Feet stabilized.
Throttle's on. We have some winds. We actually have a headwind. 14-mile headwind coming right at us. So we're going to up our speed up a little bit here. Reverses are out.
Allegiant 321, welcome to Peoria. Contact ground on 121.85.
Switching to ground on 121.85. Allegiant 321.
80 knots.
Peoria ground, Allegiant 321 morning. We're clear of runway 31 and ready to taxi to the gate.
Allegiant 321, Peoria ground, taxi to 19er via Echo 5, Echo Tango. Have a great day.
Runway 19 via Echo 5, Echo Tango, Allegiant 321.
There is nothing going on at this airport. You know that. Right.
Ladies
Red track flaps.
We have just landed at General Wayne A down in Peoria International Airport. The local time here is 10:53 a.m. The weather is quite pleasant with a temperature of 22 degrees Celsius and no precipitation. Fun fact, Peoria is known for its rich history in the arts and is home to the famous Peoria Symphony Orchestra. We kindly ask you to remain seated until we reach our final parking position. On behalf of Captain Steve Good, First Officer Brian Song, and
it was a nice flight. Nice flight. Nothing really out of the ordinary there. We didn't burn much fuel at all on this flight.
Southwest 1421 IFR to Atlanta.
Clearance on request. Stand by.
Ground Southwest 1421 IFR to Atlanta, Georgia.
I'm working on that clearance. Stand by.
Maybe I wasn't looking at this airport earlier. Maybe this wasn't it, but it had a 3-1. The 3-1. It just. I mean, this airport's not large by any stretch, but it seems like it's got more going on. Something to look forward to. I think we're going to try to bring back world traffic. I won't say I had bad experiences with it before, but at the time I think I was in a little bit of having some issues with my system, and it may have been me. Right, first things you do when you get to the airport, go to ground service, get that power going, and get those engines shut down. I'm going to get pegged for not having my lights on, my landing lights. That was not good. That was not good. I'll take it. I don't think it's going to kill me.
Fury ground. Southwest 1421 IFR.
Fuel off.
Atlanta.
Let's turn those pitos off because they get really hot.
Southwest 1421 cleared Atlanta. Radar vectors. Cows. Climb maintain 4000. Expect flight level 350 1 minutes after departure. Departure on 125.8, squawk 2647. We're expecting runway 31.
Alright, let's get a replay. Okay. Thanks for riding along. That was a good flight. Good flight. So here we are, stuck in Peoria. Ugh. Okay. I'll see y'all on the next one.